Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. In the previous videos we have discussed how we can create powerful resume or powerful CV using both Canva and Microsoft Word. We also discussed how we can evaluate our CV based on ATS. Now in this tutorial we will discuss some powerful tips that you can use in your CV to make it more powerful. We will discuss things that you should do and others that you should not do. So starting with things you should do, first point is to follow a specific font size. This font size is 11 to 12 for text, 14 for headline, and 18 for your name because it's the most important part. Next point is the font type. It's preferred to use Calibri. However, if you don't want to use Calibri, it's also allowed to use Times New Roman and Arial as well. Next point is to follow consistency in your CV. So if you are starting some bullet points with verb, do not start others with noun, but start all your bullet points with verb or with a noun, but make your style one and consistent. Also, if you are placing your date or the duration of your experience on the right in some bullet points, don't use it in the middle in other bullet points. Also, if you are coloring a specific part of your title in some bullet points, do not change this color code in other points. Be unique and try to follow just one style in your whole CV to avoid confusion. Next point is to mention date and duration because of course your employer will want to know how many years or how much time you have spent in a specific job because this gives him an idealization or gives him a visualization of your contribution to this organization and how much experience you gained from it. Next is to use numbers because numbers always give credibility to your words. So let's suppose that I'm a student and I have participated in many conferences or many competitions. If I said participated in many conferences, this is not credible. This seems to be suspicious and it's not easy to believe or to see that it's true. However, if I said the same sentence with numbers, for example, participated in 5 conferences or 5 competitions with an attendance of more than 500 individuals. This gives my context credibility and honesty. When I read this context like an employer, I will believe it because it mentioned specific details using numbers. Next point is to use strong English verbs. So instead of saying did, for example, use conducted. Also, it works for nouns. Instead of saying good, use impressive or outstanding. Now let's move on to the things that you should not do in your CV. The first point is write personal data. Do not write personal data except your name and your contact information because this is not a free space to write things like age or birthday, for example. Next, do not write abbreviations unless you define these abbreviations at least for the first time. So let's suppose that I'm using an abbreviation in my CV which is SPE, which stands for Society of Petroleum Engineers. If the employer does not know this organization, he will not understand what I'm trying to say. So I shall define SPE at the beginning, and if I'm going to further use it, I can use it without definition, as long as I defined it at the first time. Next point is colors. Only use 2 colors in your CV and try to make their use consistent as we agreed before. Next point is bulk topic. Try not to write too much information in your bullet points. Try to just mention the important and vital parts of your experience because this will give more white or free space in your CV and it will make it more readable. So the interviewer or the employer will be able to read it without being confused by the too much information written in it. Next point is avoid using any forgotten information. So let's suppose that you have attended an internship 5 years ago and you forgot everything you learned about this internship. Do not mention it in your CV just to fill it, because if you are accepted, you will be asked about this point by the interviewer, and if you couldn't answer, it will appear that you are just writing some things that are irrelevant to your experience, which will give negative impact on you. The final point is consider the page number you are using. So if you are still a fresh grad, do not write more than one page as your resume. And if you have some sort of experience, you can write up to 2 pages, but do not extend more than this because this is not a biography. So these were the tips that we are advising to you, and these are the tips that can make your CV looks more powerful. So if you find this content helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in more tutorials. Until then, take care and goodbye.